Welcome to the Time for Heroes podcast.
Hey, this is Joseph from the Brook the Bluff, and you're listening to the Time for Heroes podcast.
Right, on the podcast today I have Nashville band The Brook the Bluff. New album Werewolf is out on the 6th of March on Dual Tone Records. We're going to talk about that, but what I like to do at the start is go right back to the start. So what was life like for you four growing up, and how did kind of your childhood progress into the band?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we can start. We all grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, just different parts of it, and that's like kind of where the band name comes from. I grew up in a neighborhood called Bluff Park, and the other three guys grew up in Mountain Brook. But for me, I grew up. My mom was a music teacher. My mom and dad had a acoustic duo that they would play in while I was growing up. So I was always around music from a really early age, and then joined choir in the 5th grade and didn't leave choir until after college. So that's kind of like a short snapshot of a little bit of like how I got into music. I started writing songs when I was like 15,
Right.
around the same time that I picked up a guitar. And then met Alec in college, and we started a band that was not as serious as the band that we then started a couple years later, and started calling ourselves the Brook the Bluffs. Yeah, that's like a little. We've got four stories to kind of try to tell. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
buckle up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I just grew up. Honestly, my dad played drums growing up and had a set in the basement, so I just grew up jamming with him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just drums and guitar. And then eventually joined. We were all in a choir growing up too in high school and stuff, but it was basically just jamming with my dad and friends until I met Joseph, and here we are.
Where did you two meet then? Did you meet at school? Or?
Yes, we met at college. We met in college. We went to Auburn University, which is a couple hours away from Birmingham. So that was when Alec and I met when we were like 18, 19, something like that. And yeah, I pretty much immediately started playing music together, and kind of have been ever since.
And just when you say Birmingham as well, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
What's that like? What's the weather like? Because we've got a Birmingham here in the UK, and it's grey and horrible. So is it anything like that?
No, actually, I would say it's pretty opposite. It is warm and humid for
Mhm.
about 9 months of the year. It's wet outside, but it's probably 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It is always hot and always, yeah, a little bit. You're always
Sticky.
a little sweaty. It's not quite the same, I would say.
Right, and John and Kevin then, how did you two meet?
Well, we're brothers, but we actually met a little bit after that I was 18, he was 19. We finally got to see each other for the first time. No, yeah, we grew up together. Kevin's been playing the piano since before he could walk. I've been playing the drums for a little bit less long as that, but yeah, a lot of music going on in our household growing up for sure.
Yeah. We were both in the band together in like high school, I remember, and we played a lot of Guitar Hero together. That was pretty fun. But yeah, I started playing piano at like age 4 or 5. My parents signed me up for lessons and I kind of liked it, but I didn't always like it. I wanted to quit a lot of the times. But then, like later in high school, I kind of got more into it. Really in college is when I really got into it hardcore.
hmm
I majored in classical piano, which I had never really loved that much. But then in college, I had a really great piano professor, and he really kind of exposed me to some amazing music in the classical realm. But then at the same time, I was also friends with people that played music, so we would form bands and stuff and do more rock and soul and funk type stuff as well. So we've always just loved music. Like I said, we were both in the band too, marching band. So it's always just been a part of our life.
So, like putting these all together, then what would you say your influences are? Obviously, I've got my ideas for listening to your music the last couple of weeks, but what would you pass on as your influences?
Yeah. It's actually interesting. I feel like one of the cool things about us as a group is that we all come from, or we've all had like different strong influences, and like when it all comes together, it feels like that's what kind of makes our sound. For me, my biggest influences are John Prine, the Beatles, Frank Ocean, and Joni Mitchell. Those are the four that I always kind of go back to, and I'm always going back
Mm.
to more. And more. But it kind of like, bends and and like shifts with the time and with like whatever I happen to be listening to kind of at the moment. Like I think like for this record specifically, there's like it's basically a rock and roll record. I was really heavily influenced by Little Feat, the band from the 70s, and like Creedence Clearwater Revival and Tom Petty and those kinds of stuff, those kinds of sounds for this specific album. But yeah, those are just a few.
What about yourself, Alec?
I mean, guitar wise, honestly, growing up, it was a lot of like Stevie Ray Vaughan and like the John Mayer trio. And gosh, my dad, I played a ton of 80s Van Halen. And
Mm-hmm.
at least this was like the foundational music, like Boston and Van Halen and Doobie Brothers and that stuff. I would say like as our career has started, the Beatles and the Eagles and CCR and I feel like those have been some bands, yeah, that I've been into. But like Joseph said, it kind of just depends on what year and period we've been in. Like I feel like what I listen to changes all the time, but
Yeah,
that's a few.
you can definitely hear a progression in your albums, and especially this one seems like a kind of step up, and you can hear different influences as the albums go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you two, John and Kevin?
I would say my biggest influence right now, and I think what has been for a while, is James Taylor and John Denver. I have been listening to this James Taylor live album. It keeps coming back, and every year I'll like rediscover it, and I'll just have such a good time realizing how like good not only James Taylor is, but also like his whole band. It's like such an incredible uh listening experience, and I have just been jamming on that live album, and I've kind of realized that this is like the foundation of my musical uh you know influence. It's just great. So I tend to always go back to those old live albums, and that's what I feel like is really fun about this new album is we've just like completely leaned into like we're a band with no bells and whistles on top. Like it feels like we got drums, bass, keys, vocals, and just a lot of like great musicians on stage just playing music together. Like there's no really tricks to it, and it just feels great. So yeah.
Yeah, James Taylor's band is incredible. Larry Goldings, their keyboard player, is just
Yeah.
so phenomenal. But yeah, I've kind of been all over the place musically. I would say probably like Stevie Wonder, Steely Dan have always just been like favorites of mine. They have a great it's like songwriting and groove and like chords and everything. It's just kind of like everything I love about music. But I mean, I've gone through a lot of phases of music throughout my life. Like in college, like I said, I was getting more into classical stuff, but also jazz piano players like Oscar Peterson would probably be one of my favorites of all time. He's just like so technical and so brilliant on the keyboard. Just like it blows my mind listening to him. And then like soul and R&B type stuff too. Like I remember getting into the Roots really heavily back in high school and college, and like Erica Badu, like her backing band was always so amazing. But it's kind of just been all over the place for me. It's just exciting hearing different types of music and how people do it. So I kind of draw from everything, I would say.
That sounds like a proper melting pot. It must it must have so much creativity when you have got all these different kind of genres or kind of colliding. Obviously, coming from Nashville, world famous music scene. So, how is that, and do you feel like any pressure, obviously, being in that kind of environment?
I wouldn't say pressure. I would say more like inspiration and opportunity. Kind of like I think it's been more of a thing where we've been able to, move up here, and like we made the choice to leave Birmingham and move up here 8 years ago. because we wanted to try and like make a go of it. We wanted to try and make a go of the band. And I think since then we've just been able to meet like a bunch of our friends that are artists too, that play and create and make music, and we're around them all the time. We're around each other. I mean, we're around each other as a band more than that. But like we're just around it, and we're just like kind of like steeped in music all the time, just by nature of being here. So I think that that has been the thing. I don't really ever feel. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess music can be competitive, but whatever we're space we're in has never really felt that way. It's always felt really open and friendly and just kind of like, you know,
Mm.
re- like inspirational and kind of like people,
Yeah,
taking.
totally.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
shows in Nashville can be ever so slightly more difficult. I feel like you have a much higher percentage of musicians that will stand there watching like their musicians, and they can look
Hmm.
more intimidating than a random city outside of Nashville.
Sure.
But
And
it's a
there
mental.
is a Nashville stereotype, I guess, probably when people think about Broadway, which is the main strip downtown, where it's like every bar you walk past is just a country music band playing like commercial top 40 hits and stuff. And it's like a lot of people just think that's what Nashville is, but it's actually a lot more than that. There's like different clubs and different places where you can go see kind of all types of music too.
Hmm.
There's like Inglewood Lounge has like a jam every week, like a soul jam. Flamingo like there's little different venues you can find, and you can find more genres than just kind of the mainstream country that a lot of people might associate with it.
I think that's probably the danger in it, is getting pigeonholed. Like, I think if you look at Detroit, it was always kind of that Motown, but then like in the 90s, 2000s, you had all these garage bands coming for Detroit, so it kind of it, it can turn just so quickly. So I mean,
Mm.
we're in 2026. Your debut single came out 10 years ago,
Yeah.
so you've
Wow.
been going 10 years. So debut single Straws, um, and then that was like 2 years of releasing, culminating in kind of the Brook and the Bluff. What are we calling it? An EP or an album?
That's an EP. I'd call that an EP for sure.
Yeah. So how did that how did that come together? How did you kind of when did you realise that this was more than just a kind of a jam session, that you were going to be a band and start releasing?
Yeah. That's actually, I mean, I think that, Alec and I had started playing when we started playing, and we were just playing cover gigs for the most part, but we also like one of the main reasons I feel like we started playing together again was that we wanted to write songs, and we wanted to like make our own music. And I had like had a few songs that I had written like up until that point in college, and Straws actually was one of them. Straws is actually the second song that I ever wrote, which is crazy. But we we kind of just wait. I got the train left the station. I got derailed a little bit. We I was gonna tell the story of how we were all in Alec's basement in Birmingham, and we had made some music, and like we were playing, and John had joined the band up until this point. This is in 20 this might have been 2016, like the beginning of 2016, and we had this moment where we were working other jobs and stuff, and we just looked at each other and we were like, all right, like are we serious about this? Do we want, like, let's define the relationship is what we called it at that point. Let's like, is this something that we really want to do? Like we've been working on this handful of songs, which would become that EP, the first EP. Like we should record them. We should like really give it a shot. Let's start emailing all these people and like little venues across the Southeast. So I think it just was like, it was this moment where we were kind of, fresh out of college, and it was a now or never kind of thing. And I think that the whole decision was just kind of like, yeah, we want, of course, this would be a dream to be able to make music and to be able to play music together for a living. And so we might as well try now when we're this age, instead of getting to 30 and getting 10 years down the road and being almost 35 and looking back and being like, wow, there might have been something there. Now, now when we get to the 35, we can look back and be like, hey, there was something there. And there is something there.
We almost
Yeah.
made it.
We almost made it.
Almost did.
But now, I mean, it's been 10 years and we've made four full-length albums and another EP together, and that's, I don't know, it's really, that's
And
freaking crazy.
we can't forget the 3-song acoustic EP that we uploaded to SoundCloud
Yeah, the first night
the first night we recorded it.
that was pre-John. John
And
hadn't
yeah,
quite joined yet.
And is that still available on SoundCloud?
That's been scrubbed, I think, from
it
there.
is. It is available because we put all the acoustic versions from that EP, or like the rough cuts. They're now acoustic versions on Spotify. So there's Straws acoustic, A Little Change of Pace acoustic, and Rush acoustic
That is
that are
true.
all available. And those are the original rough cuts recordings.
Not even mixed.
Wow,
Not
I
mixed,
didn't
but
even know that.
honestly, turns out mixing is fake because they sound great. Yeah.
Yep, everybody, you heard it here first. Mixing is fake.
We might have tweaked a couple spots, but that's
So obviously from then it's been kind of relentless. Like every year you've been busy. Second album came out called First Place, and then 2020 a Beach Boys cover as well. I seen. So obviously with the way you like to do your harmonies and things like that, was that a natural kind of choice as a cover?
Yeah. I think yeah, I heard that song and was listening to it and was like, "Oh man, we would sound great doing this." So we just got an acoustic guitar and just sang it like we would sing it if we were all just, I don't know, not an a cappella group, but like kind of a little bit. It was like, doing the oohs and ahs. I mean, we all come from choir. So that was a really fun one to like where we could all sing, and it turned out to be a little bit of a sleeper banger. People ask for that one, so it's cool.
We'll never escape the acapella allegations. The former acapella singers.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember we released it. Sorry,
No, on you go.
but like COVID had just hit, and we had just gotten done with the tour, and we were kind of looking for, okay, well, what's our next move here? Are we going to record an album? What are we going to do? And we had been performing this Beach Boys song on tour, so we were like, well, let's record this thing and put it up and see what happens. So that was cool that like it's gotten to spread its wings.
So you're mentioning COVID as well. It kind of comes up quite a lot on the podcast. A lot of bands say it kind of helped them. So some of the bands have said it maybe a bit abolic for them. So how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of both. I think it helped. Like we were able when we returned to touring, like in 2021, we were able, like by that time we had like kind of doubled our listenership, which is crazy. Like that, like more people were just like turning to listening, I guess, to music online, and music discovery was really important, and during like especially that first start of COVID, and so we were able to gain a lot of people. We were really lucky, um, as far as all of the timing of those things was like happened, because like we finished our first place headline tour on March 9th of 2020, and then the world kind of shut down on March
Mm-hmm.
4th. So we kind of had just done this big like we had just done this headline tour playing all the big markets in the country in the United States. So we were able to just like we were in front of everybody right before the world shut down, and then going into it, obviously touring disappeared, and so that part was like really hard. So you see on like one side you see half of your life or like half of your career kind of like disappear for a little while, but then at the same time we were able to like kind of turn inward into each other, make another album, and like just keep kind of going. And we were lucky enough in that process to also have more people get like find out who we were. So it was a mixed, I think it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, everybody, but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's what I see. You get 200. Is it 200 million streams? So they all come in COVID. Then that's when you made it big?
Yeah, we haven't had a single stream since then, but
No.
We're a COVID band.
yeah.
Well,
From the other side of COVID, another couple of albums, Yard Sale and Bluebeard.
Mhm.
In 2024, the EP, This Could All Go Nowhere.
Yeah.
And then this leads us into where we're up to now. So into 2025, you started releasing songs for Werewolf. So the first single, Super Bowl Sunday.
Hmm.
Which when
today.
I was doing my research and I just happened to be watching the news this morning. I seen this is actually Super Bowl Sunday.
Recording on Super Bowl Sunday.
So I mean we'll talk a bit about the album, but like firstly, like you recorded it in a different way, I'm led to believe. So how did you go about the recording of this one?
Yeah, this record was just kind of different than the other three that we've done with our producer Micah Talks, just in that like we approached this one with like the idea that we're gonna all record it together. We're gonna like track it live. So basically this whole record, I mean, we're just playing it's like what it would sound like if we were just walking on stage. I mean, it sounds better and cleaner and like there's nicer microphones and all that kind of stuff. But like it's essentially like just the energy that is captured when the five of us were playing together. And that was just like a different thing for us, which is funny as like a band that this is the first time that we went to make an album and we're like, all right, let's all do it together. But we had just done it and like we had made things in the studio very like carefully, I think. And not that this one wasn't careful, but like very much like let's lay down drums and bass and get those really right, and then we'll layer things on top of it like kind of one at a time. And this time it was different. We like walked into the studio with our parts kind of ready to play and arrangements all worked out. A lot more like really what we were doing at the beginning back 10 years ago, like just working out the songs beforehand in like 11 a.m. rehearsals every day of the week and then taking them to record. So this is the first, like we were kind of just like, all right, well like we're our strength is a live band, so let's see what happens when we make an album that is with that at the forefront.
So like you mentioned that like kind of every day kind of doing your band practice and stuff like that. So what is the kind of makeup of the band? Is he's got jobs or is this full-time job?
We're very lucky. This is our full-time job.
Because I mean, like back here in Britain, that's the case for kind of probably bands of similar stature as yourself. They'll be still having to do 9 to 5 jobs or whatever.
Yeah, which we did for a while. I mean, like I had a 9 to 5. I mean, like during the pandemic, I had to pick up. I worked a 9 to 5 job, just online, remote work at home. But once we were able to come back to touring in 2021, it was really when it kind of changed and we were able to really like do this full time. We were just playing enough shows and all that kind of stuff. And since then, kind of have just been able to continue to do that.
Yeah.
It is pretty crazy that it is a full-time job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been that way for a while, but when we first started, yeah, we were kind of piecing together how it was all going to work. Like Alec and Joseph and myself taught music lessons, and then we were kind of doubled as a wedding band until eventually we could stop playing weddings and just play our own original music. So, yeah.
One thing that I forgot to ask, obviously the four of yous, but there was a bass player, Fred Langford. So what's the script with him? Is he no longer with the band? And how does that work? Who does the bass parts then if he's not there?
On the album, Micah Talks, our producer, played the bass parts on this one. And then when we're touring, we have another Micah. His name's Micah Vaughn, and he'll play with us on the road. And you know, Fred was with us for those three albums, and you know, he also like was from Mountain Brook and grew up with the guys, and yeah, we love the contributions that he made then and to the albums and to our music. But you know, sometimes you just have to, sometimes it's good to like move on.
We hit a point where it was like creatively and the direction the band needed to go in just only had one way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, looking at you for the day, you all sound as if you are on the same page. You sound like the kind of last gang in town sort of mentality. So it's obviously working whatever you are doing. I saw Super Bowl Sunday. So obviously the 3 singles that I've heard for the new record, obviously Super Bowl Sunday, Baby Blue, and Can't Figure It Out.
Mm-hmm.
which can't figure it out, came out January 14th a couple of weeks ago. All three of those songs sound different. They've all got their own kind of styling. So how would you describe the album as a whole for people that haven't heard the Brook and the Bluff before? Because there is so much there.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think I mean we wanted to make a rock and roll album. So I think that's kind of how I would describe it, as short as possible. Would just be like, we made a rock record and we're excited. We made an album of songs that we're really excited to go out and play in front of people. The only qualifier we had for whether or not this song could be on the album or something like that was does it feel really great to play live, or do we think that this is going to be one of the most fun songs in our live set? And all 10 of them we feel extremely excited about, and like we're so pumped to get out and go and play over and over again. And so I think that would be what I would say. That like just we made a rock and roll album.
It's funny because, sorry, I'll give my kind of views on it. Like when I first heard that, obviously, like on the email that I received for your PR, it mentions CCR, Tom Petty, all that. My initial listen, I heard the Australian band Jet, who are obviously a bit newer.
Yeah.
That was the kind of the vibe and the energy that I got straight away. I keep going back to it, I keep listening. Obviously a bit kind of rock like AC/DC as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope you like that. Obviously when I talk to bands in a series things, and I think, I hope I've not offended them.
No, not offended at all.
Jet, we talked about Jet.
Jet. That first Jet album was like, I mean, it did so much. It was huge. I remember it. All those songs are so good. So that's all.
And Mike, our producer, at one point stopped us and was like, I don't think I've heard a rock and roll album that reminds me of this since Jet.
Yeah.
I'm sure there have been plenty, but it's just the one that comes to mind.
We talked about AC/DC in the studio too. That actually directly inspired, I think, the drum beat for this song Get By on the album is kind of like similar to the Back in Black drum beat. And we kind of like went for that vibe during that song. There's a lot of influence from Jet and AC/DC, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we watched a live AC/DC live at Donegal Castle for like one day during lunch. Micah put it on. It was awesome.
And part of it was like it's so simple. It's just bass, drums, guitar, vocals, but it sounds so good.
We're pretty much AC/DC with just more angelic vocals.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I've mentioned the two bands, and it's got that wee reaction. So album comes out. Look at this. Can you see that?
Oh, hey,
Dogs of Tour.
Sweetie.
So album's out March the 6th.
Yes.
Tour starting March the 20th. All across America. I looked at some of the venues. Some of them, obviously for me being in Britain, there was a few that kind of stood out to me. How's that going to be out on the road for, I think it's 5 to 6 weeks or something? How are you all going to cope with each other for that length of time?
We're so
we've done it before.
So 5 to 6 weeks is nothing. Oh man,
Seasoned by the road.
We'll be. I don't know. I feel like we'll just be by the 5th week. It'll just be as soon as we get into the van, it's headphones in, no talking.
We pretty much go crazy on day one, and it's off to the races from there.
We're pretty excited about this new van we're gonna rent, because the van that we've been in for the last like 8 years is pretty rough. By now the AC isn't even really blowing. The engine is like failing, and so now we're actually renting a van. We're not at tour bus yet, but we're like a step up. We're gonna have hopefully a nice ride. So we'll see how it goes once we actually see the thing. Yeah, we've been seasoned by the road for sure.
Yeah, the tunes will carry us on their wings.
What comes after the tour? Like, what's next for the band? Obviously I was talking to Kevin off mic before the rest of you joined, and he said that he would love to play over here at some point. What do you think the chances of kind of getting over to Europe and doing something over this way?
Yeah, I mean that has always been on our like dream like goal list is to get over and play shows in the UK and Europe. So hopefully hopefully these songs can open some of those roads for us, and we can like some maybe get to London and play, or get somewhere like and do or something like that, and maybe like kind of start to have some shows over there because
If you would
Yeah.
have us.
yeah, I mean we would love to play over there. I think it's a lot about when does it make sense, or when do the people want you to come over there. So
Well, again, as I says to Kevin, I had a band on maybe about a year ago. A Canadian band, I'm pretty sure they were called the Banks Brothers. They done a tour with like a Liverpool band. They came over here and done like 5 or 6 nights, I think, and
yeah,
they were fantastic. And they went down a treat. I think they're coming back over next year because it went so well. Obviously, as I say, like, I'm getting the Jet vibes for you. So if I'm getting that, and everybody else starts getting into that sort of, then you'd be a massive hit over here.
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Be so much fun.
Yeah,
I
we
think
demand
after
to take.
this tour, ends, we'll just drive the van onto a cargo ship
Yeah.
and cross
Straight
the
over.
Atlantic and just keep going.
As I say, maybe obviously don't come to Birmingham, England though. That'll be a shock for you.
Yeah,
But all the best for the album, and it sounds fab. I've been listening to it the last couple of weeks, so it's been a real treat for me. And once it comes out and everybody else gets to hear it, I think it's going to be a hit. It's a definite step up for your previous work, which
yeah.
obviously the last part of the podcast, it's called Time for Heroes. So I asked my guest to pick.
Oh wait, we lost your mic.
Oh, wait, is it?
The mic went out. I think the pup maybe.
That's the real hero.
He's the real hero. That's the twist.
No, we can't.
Oh no.
Oh, well, there we go.
Hey.
Wait,
We can hear you now, I think.
yes.
Yeah, we got you.
No, he's gone.
You going?
Tragic.
It's
Bye,
still
bye.
recording, I think.
Yeah, it's still recording. What do we want to say to the people?
Now it's our
What are you
podcast.
about to do?
This is our podcast now.
Hello,
Hey,
I'm back. I don't know what happened there. That's the pitfalls of having a dog in your recording.
they didn't like the dog, I guess.
And so the last part of the podcast, obviously, it's called Time for Heroes. Ask my guest to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why are they your heroes, and what would you cook for them? And so I don't know how you want to go about this. If you want to pick 1 hero each, or you're gonna
Yeah.
pick 4. But I know you've got Super Bowl to watch as well. So
Let's do. Okay, we can do one. Since it's 4 heroes, we'll do one hero each. I think. Let me
Yeah.
see. If I could have one hero over for dinner, or 4 heroes over for dinner, what would we cook?
yeah,
My
dead or
hero-
alive, they don't need to be musicians. It can be whoever you like.
Okay. I mean, I think I would have to pick John Prine.
hmm
Would be my hero to have over for dinner.
Fantastic.
I
What
guess
would you
once
cook
we-
for him?
We'll figure out what we would make for our heroes once we pick the 4. We'll see what meal we would make.
So who's next?
Ooh.
I'll go with, or you go, Alec. You got it.
Michael Crichton, the author. I would want to have him over and just chat about everything he wrote.
What's your favourite Michael Crichton?
Well, Jurassic Park's just such a huge. I love it so much. I would probably say that one. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I read Prey and read Timeline and some of those others. It's been a while, but Jurassic Park by far.
Yeah, because I think when I was younger, I think I died in the hill that Congo was better than Jurassic Park. I think I was alone in that thinking, but I did try and kind of defend it for a good couple of years until I realised myself it was pretty substandard.
Yeah. That's the one about the jungle.
Yeah.
And after, right? Yeah. I haven't read that, but I will stand behind Jurassic Park though.
hmm
I read it again last year and it holds up.
I think I remember reading that one, and it was a page
Oh
turner.
man,
It was a good
it's
one.
so good. The Andromeda Strain.
That one too.
is awesome. But
All right, I would probably choose a Donald Fagen from Steely Dan because he is like a genius songwriter, but he's also like really funny and he has strong opinions about music, and he's kind of like unfiltered. And I just think it'd be a great funny hang to like just hang out with him. Hopefully he would like me, and I would probably maybe cook him some fettuccine alfredo with chicken, maybe. I think he's from New York, so he might not like it because he's probably used to top of the food chain up there. That'd be my pick.
There we go.
I'm going to go with Roger Federer,
Wow.
the greatest men's tennis player of all time. Just watching him play. I remember watching him play for the first time when I was like 8 years old. And it's just like, I just think he's the coolest guy ever. The way that he carries himself, and just watching him play tennis is like, it's more of like an art form than it is a sport. And I think he's the coolest. So I would want to have dinner with him.
So, as well with Federer, to kind of be in the era of tennis that he's in, obviously you get the other ones, you get Nadal, Djokovic, and some people try and include Andy Murray in that. Obviously, with me being a Scotsman, I don't know if you'd be surprised to know that I would prefer Roger Federer or Andy Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's an absolute twat.
That's so funny.
Andy. I remember watching Wimbledon every year, and there would be somebody in the crowd going, "Come on, Andy!" Could never do it.
Then you loved him, right?
Who, me?
Or the country.
No.
No.
I just think his interview style and all that, it comes across very aloof. I never warmed him. See, off camera, I've got one dog trying to jump my lap and another one chewing my hand.
Amazing.
But it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Oh, before we go, actually, what you cooking them all? Obviously, you said chicken Alfredo, but the rest of you kind of...
Yeah, we didn't pick the meal. I would just make hamburgers, cheeseburgers, and French fries for John Prine, and we'd have some vodka ginger ales.
Amazing.
The Handsome Johnny. We just have the whole meal.
The whole thing.
The Brown's Diner experience. Shout out to Brown's Diner here in Nashville.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It sounds proper American. Perfect for your day-to-day Super Bowl Sunday. Seattle against who? Who is it?
The
Patriots.
The New
Right.
England
We're
Patriots.
back.
So hope you enjoy that. And as I say, album release Werewolf out March the 6th on Jail Tone Records, which is about 2 or 3 weeks away. So everybody go and check out the singles and pre-save the album.
Yeah.
But for coming on the day, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Likewise.
This
Thank
has been
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Right.
I would cook jambalaya.
Oh, yeah.
I would cook salmon and rice and broccoli.
Not that you wouldn't give Michael Crichton the dinosaur egg
The dinosaur.
from the movie. Don't they do that in the movie?
Do they? I don't know.
Am I remembering that wrong? When the guy's like, "We spared no expense."
We spared no expense.
And there's
No,
like a
that's-
little
that's
soft-boiled
right.
egg in front of them.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
right.
that a dinosaur egg?
I didn't think it was a dinosaur egg, but I
Oh,
could be
okay.
wrong.
You could cook them some dino nuggets.
That's right.
Dino nuggets,
Some T-Rex steak.
T-bones.
Absolute pleasure,
Anyways,
guys. Man.
thank you,
Absolute
Martin.
pleasure. Do it. Click stop. As I say, that's the first time we've done it. So I think once I stop recording, see if you just hang on the line a minute or so, and it'll all download for us.
Sure.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, please contact me on the email timeforheroespod@gmail.com, or you can get me on Instagram at Time for Heroes Podcast. Thanks very much. We'll be back soon with another episode.